Cloud is tough.
What is the potential threat from a job perspective of AI?
AI is more, you have to feed it data. Junior level software engineers, they might be replaced.
A lot of people talk about cloud. What is that exactly? Okay, welcome back to the Tech Jobber podcast. We are in our new home, the amazing on-site studios in Miami, Florida, and amazing guest today. He is one of the top cloud guys in the country, and it's our first cloud guest, so I'm super excited about it. But don't take my word for it. For instance, when MGM got hacked, probably about a year and a half ago, they called this guy to clean up their mess. All their data was hacked, all their customer data. They flew this guy into Vegas for probably 6 months to help clean up that disaster. That's the level he is on. And that is Mr. Dennis Riddick. Dennis, welcome to the show.
About time, man. We finally got it set up. I'm glad to be here,
Yeah.
When we talk about cloud, we're basically talking about data centers that are hosted, offsite of business. Any company has a data center, they have network cloud, they have servers, they have storage, and pretty much, the personnel that, monitors the servers, monitors the network, and anything within the data center, like cooling, anything that has to do with running servers. So cloud is basically, it could be really about, hosting different servers, networks, where it's not hosted on the company's, premises. So cloud's been around for years, during 9/11, it pretty much set the tone for having offsite data centers. After that, Amazon took over probably about 2006, so about 5 or 6 years after 9/11. There was a lot of compliance issues, around having data stored in 2 or 3 different places. That's where the cloud evolved. And, just, from a high level, it's basically you're just hosting, other resources not on your premise, right? So you're dealing with storage network, and all the engineering around, hosting applications.
Yeah. Yeah. So why don't we talk a little bit about these jobs? What is your kind of title right now?
Right now, I'm basically a cloud engineer, right? So cloud engineer with the emphasis on security, right? Security, storing data, storing applications. We have a lot of companies that are migrating to the cloud, but they're not securing, their data. They're just, they have these budgets where they need to move quickly. And once they move all their applications, their stores, all that, they're left at a, vulnerability level where, there's a lot of risk involved as far as, ransomware. There's a lot of risk as far as data being compromised. So it's not secure. That's where the level of cloud engineers come in, where, okay, we do assessment once you migrate, we do assessment saying, okay, well, we need to have certain applications that need to be at this service level, RPO level. They got to recover with a certain amount of time if there's an application that goes down, and that could be, a disaster. That could be, just engineering where somebody, they hack it, they'll call in, act like they're a user, and they're actually, trying to compromise your network, right? And that's pretty much right now what I'm doing. It's more around just securing the network, securing the storage, the data, and the applications, right? AWS is a spinoff from Amazon, and they basically, instead of, okay, we need to build all these data centers, all these servers to, ship out stuff. And with Amazon, we build our own stuff called AWS.
Yeah.
Which is AWS Web Services, right?
Obviously, anyone that is considering these type of careers knows it's AWS or Microsoft Azure. Right. So at what point does Microsoft say, well, wait a minute, we're gonna put our money into this data center thing too?
Microsoft was around the same time. I mean, I think they opened their first one is 2000, I would say 2008. And the reason behind that is they were competing with AWS, their licensing, things like that. So if they have their own licensing model with Microsoft, if you're a huge Microsoft shop, like it's much simpler to go to
Yeah.
Azure,
Just adding on.
right? Because so the licensing model is apples to oranges, right? So now it's like Amazon is starting to they're picking up, and Microsoft is coming on. They're getting all their customers back from AWS, right? And now it's kind of evening out at this point.
And you have experience in both, correct?
Yeah, I have experience. My first cloud job was AWS.
Mhm.
We moved a huge, data center. It was HIPAA related, so they had a lot of imaging pack systems where they moved that off prem,
Mhm.
and that kind of lands into Sandy, right? So that's when I was recovering when Sandy hit in New York. I was working for NYU, Langone Medical,
Yeah.
and they pretty much what happened with them is they didn't have offsite data centers. So they actually lost a lot of applications data. We had to rebuild in Equinox and start up. We were starting to archive all the data into AWS.
Yeah.
At that point, that was 2014. Around
That was
that
2014. Yeah.
2013, 2014.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So and they pretty much they put all their imaging software into cloud, right? So that was my first project there. Uh, Azure, I started another project right after NYU with a company called Cognizant,
Mhm.
and they're a cloud based solution provider, but they were on prem. They had like VMware, cloud cloud director, which is pretty much like on prem. You'll build out all these servers, and then you'll host them. Host tenants,
Yeah.
right, within the data center, within VMware vCenter. So you'll have different tenants inside, VMware.
Mhm.
Kind of like it's a cloud. It's basically your
So where does VMware fit into? You had AWS, Azure, VMware.
right.
Where?
VMware started around the time AWS, like right around that same time.
Yeah.
As far as their business model, they were more around changing physical servers into virtualizing servers. So if you had 50 servers and so that's and we'll take a step back there because when 9/11 hit, everybody was just buying servers, right?
Yeah.
You're buying servers, you're buying networks, you're buying storage, but it's not utilized, right? So you spend all this money, but the servers aren't being used. When VMware came in place, they started virtualizing all those servers. Say, okay, well, you have 50 servers, you only utilizing really 20 of them, right?
Yeah.
So let's scale back. Let's take them servers back. You're saving on service level agreements. You're saving on service, and we'll virtualize all these servers for you. You only have to have 20 servers.
Mm.
And then we'll give you'll save money on licensing, you'll save money on personnel as far as racking and stacking servers. We don't have that anymore, so we're we don't have that cost, right? VMware came in place around same time as AWS, right?
Okay.
2006, 2007, and they came in pretty big. They started saving a lot of money for for these budgeting large projects.
Yeah.
As far as physical servers. I probably would say Azure is more.
The Azure one. Okay.
Yeah, Azure is I think it's more prevalent right now because there's a lot of AWS, people that are looking for jobs.
Mhm.
Azure not so much. I mean, it's not as big, but a lot of people there's a lot of work for Azure.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are moving to Azure based on the pricing model. If they have a Microsoft shop, which
Yeah.
80% of companies are, Microsoft based servers. So applications, Microsoft 365 is huge.
Mhm.
So those are if you get 365 Azure, those are some of the top skills that these recruiters I feel like are looking for.
Yeah.
I get the most hits on Azure.
On the Azure. Wow. Now, if a company's doing a cloud migration, does the comp kind of jump up a certain amount because they desperately need someone like you?
Yeah, I mean it's up there. I mean the rates. I was a contractor, so it's a little bit more. You're not you're not stuck at one,
Right.
at the base, right? You're not stuck at the base salary. So I made sure I was a contractor, just so, because I know I'll be working a lot of different hours.
Yeah.
They'll be pushing me to work these hours. So I know I get paid for every hour I work.
Right.
Right.
Versus the salary where even a nice salary,
right.
Okay, great. You're on salary, but work 5 hours extra today.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got the same money.
And when you're coming into something like that, you definitely want to get paid for all the hours you're working.
Yeah.
As far as being a contractor. I mean, you don't get those benefits, things like that, but I mean, it's a trade-off as far as what you want to do.
Yeah.
Go with your skill set. I mean, going on contracts like that, the small contracts here and there, it'll lift your skill set, quickly, right? So you're not stagnant at a full-time job. You're not doing this. You're not, you're just doing the same thing. You're pulling tickets every morning. Same tickets come up. You got to talk to the user or open a ticket with a vendor, things like that. So that's the pros of being a contractor. Your skill set got to be, on point.
Yeah. And then so, I mean, at times, what are the hours for some of these jobs?
Right.
Let's say migration, or there's a hack. I mean, you work is it like 16-hour days?
I mean, it's really not, because when you're doing migrations, I mean, again, you go back to, you can't do certain things during the day. Like normally migrations, the actual migrations is on the weekend or after hours, right? Yeah. So during the days, you might attend 2-3 meetings. So you might work 4 or 5 hours, depending on what it is. And if if you plan it right, you have a certain migration coming up. Say you work 2 days straight, you might attend three meetings the next 3 days. Before the migration, if you plan it out correctly, because you know what's coming up.
And is that part of the reason? I mean, I've covered in different videos cloud people I know that are job stacking 2, 3.
Yeah,
there's the one myth guy that has 12. We have to find him.
Right.
Mr. 12 guy.
Definitely.
You're going to come on. But so you think that could be a reason why? Because you take a migration contract, you're doing the work on the weekends. So your 9 to 5 is open.
Right.
You can just take a regular cloud job then.
Yeah. I mean, you could have a full-time job. You could have 2 contracts. It's really how you balance it. I mean, if you take one, the only big thing with that is you want to look at the NDA, for your full-time job.
Sure.
Right. Look at the NDA, make sure there's no, issues there as far as who you're going to contract with. Because if it's one of your vendors or something like that, you might get stuck on a meeting and boom. Oh, I know this guy.
Yeah. Right.
It happens. I mean, but some companies, they might not care, right? It's like, it's really depend on how stringent your job is, what your projects are, what you're doing. You might be able to balance that, right? And it's a pretty good deal as far as if you could pull it off, right? So
right.
Cloud is tough. I mean, it's something you can learn, but you want to engrave yourself in projects. If you're documenting stuff, and the good thing about cloud is you could create your own portal, have a free portal and practice and document all that. You can basically take screenshots and document everything you do. You could go into YouTube and basically, okay, here's a project I want to migrate. You could create a physical network on your on-prem in your house and create a VMware, environment and migrate VMs into the cloud, into Azure on your personal Azure portal.
Wow. Right.
And you could document that. And basically, if you have everything documented, you go on an interview and be like, okay, we migrated, we had a project, a lab, and we migrated everything. Here's step by step. And then you pull that document up during the interview. Let me share my screen for you, sir.
Yeah.
I'll show you all the steps we took in order to migrate, some of the assessments ahead of time, to see how much, utilization that the VMs had, make sure it would support that in the cloud, right? As far as setting up the sizing for the VMs, things like that. You can actually sit there and document that and share your screen with the interviewer and show them every step you made, right?
And you would recommend someone starting out, get your feet wet by doing that. to get that entry level job, you say, well, here's what I did. And they'll say, all right,
Yeah.
this kid's pretty hungry at least.
Right. Even if you don't know everything, you want to document it, use Chat GPT, use AI. Okay, if you get stuck, say for example, you want to move a VM and it's you can't use it as far as the network, the ports or something like that are down, or you don't have the correct, subnet on that VM. Here's what I did, to resolve that, right? I created a gateway so it could reach the other network in order to migrate it because we couldn't migrate it, right? That's just a simple strategy as far as, just documenting for an interview.
Speaking of AI, I mean, what is the potential threat from a job perspective of AI in your field?
That's a good question. I mean, AI is, is the unknown right now because it's actually a tool to help people, help coders. I think the big thing is, coders, software engineers, it's a great tool for them. People are saying, oh, you need a job. I think it's more, AI is more, you have to feed it data, right? So you need humans to feed the data. And then, as far as the software engineers go, I mean, they're using it as a tool. It's a great tool to get your job completed. I really don't think it's replacing certain amount of things right now, but it's a possibility. It's hard to tell, it's unknown. So, the data is there where certain, junior level software engineers, they might be replaced or things like that, but it's just not,
But you haven't seen it in the AWS cloud space kind of like as a threat yet.
I haven't seen, AI, it's a tool. Like I said, again, I mean, it's a tool to help, you automate certain things that'll help your job. You're able to do other, you're able to work on other, high level things instead of the low level, things with AI that you can help. Right. So, if you want to automate, like I want to create a report out of Azure to see how many volumes I have, what the sizes of the volumes are, and the utilization for each volume, you can use a Python script, to interact with Azure and instead of Azure and AI, right? So instead of you sitting there doing that, clicking on the portal, you can use create a quick script in Python to automate all that for you. You might have a daily script that you want to write just to see where you're at utilization wise.
Yeah. So you use it right now, just the basics to help you okay, this would take me a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
So awesome. Well, dude, we've been trying to do this for months.
Yeah, absolutely.
Glad we finally made it happen. Breaking the glass on the new studio, which is On-Site Studios. Come check us out. And we'll have all Dennis's socials in the show notes. So you want to connect with him, learn about cloud, he'll, maybe he'll be taking jobs soon. Who knows?
Right.
But definitely connect with him because you can see all his certifications, which is crazy. But Dennis, thanks again.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
And we'll catch you guys next time.
All right.